All right, so we will go ahead and get started. So, hey everyone, welcome to Gift of Learning fourth webinar. My name is Shivi and I'm one of the founders of the Gift of Learning. So our team consists of 4 co-founders, Arya Nalavade, Eesha Kulkarni, Amruta Rajeev, and me, as well as our outreach and graphic design ambassadors. So a little bit about our organization. So the Gift of Learning is an online student-led tutoring organization, and we are working towards closing the educational gap between the privileged and the underprivileged kids. Um, More information about us can be found on our website or our multiple social media handles. So if you guys want more information, please go visit those. And we'll get started. So the topic of today's webinar will be Gateway to STEM. So our speaker, Cassandra Torres, will be talking about how she got into the STEM field and started her own business. So throughout the webinar, if you guys have any questions, please send them in to Arya Nalavade through the chat feature on Zoom, and we will ask them towards the end. So Ms. Torres, whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I created a presentation that I'm going to present, so I'm just going to start sharing my screen now and begin. Okay. Can everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is Cassandra Torres, and I graduated Syracuse University in 2019 with a degree in international relations. And I took a year off to work and save up a little bit of money so I can go back to school and get a master's degree in global affairs. I decided to attend, I'm currently attending right now the American University in Cairo, which is in Egypt. And it is an American university, so they accept like FAFSA, and it's accredited in the United States, in Europe, and the Middle East. I know some of you might be wondering what makes me qualified to speak about STEM, since that's not something that I specifically studied while in school. Like, I don't have a degree in engineering, computer science, or information technologies, but I still think that I can qualify and talk about it because I did start to self-teach myself after I graduated Syracuse, as well as right now I'm taking a data analytics course in my program. Since STEM is growing and it's kind of combining into many fields, a lot of fields right now are using it, especially when it comes to data analytics and analyzing data, which is a part of information technologies. So that's why. Okay. So how and why did I get into tech? Okay, so a little background story. I studied international relations, like I just mentioned, and I am still very passionate about like what that field entails, which is mainly about political science, international organizations. My dream job is to work at the United Nations and to be a diplomat. And the reason why I decided to pick up tech and study data analytics is because data analytics is so broad, and analyzing data is so important for so many fields, especially when you work in the health field and you want to know, analyze the data of a new drug that you are creating. If you work in the business field and you want to see the trends and the of you investing in a certain company or something, and you want to see the trends of how that's going, you need to analyze data. If you are studying political science like I am, it's useful to have some knowledge on data so you can as well see the trends in, like, let's say wars, global warming, and different humanitarian crises that are happening across the world. And you need to also see how people are being impacted personally and collecting feedback from the individuals who are being impacted on the ground. And data is a great way of collecting all of this information, and implementing policy, creating laws that will help people in the future and empower them. Right now, I am learning Python, R, Sudan, SPSS, and Stata. Right now, we're mainly focusing on Stata, and it is quite challenging for me because, again, I did not study this in school, but the beauty about tech is that a lot of these things are on YouTube, you know. There's a lot of online resources that if anyone is interested, I can give you a few online resources that I use that even kids nowadays are learning Python in middle school, which was not something that was around when I was younger, but it is doable. The pros and cons of self-learning. So if I could go back in time and do things completely different, I would, in the sense that I wouldn't change my degree in international relations because that is something I'm really passionate about, but I probably would have minored in something IT and picked up a few extra tech classes in my undergraduate degree so that I can at least have that knowledge. I mean, right now I'm building the knowledge in my master's program, but it would have been nice to also have started a little bit earlier. And am I fully self-teaching myself? No, because again, I am taking it in school. Would I recommend self-teaching to someone? I would recommend it to someone who has a lot of passions in like various fields. If they're not fully committed to doing a computer science degree, I would recommend it in that case. However, I also recommend people to just go and get a STEM degree no matter what. I know it's even if it's like art, that's something like if it's art or writing that you're passionate about. Nowadays, the job market, unfortunately, is very competitive, and not that it's not doable, but just keep in mind that it is really competitive, and having a technical degree is going to be more in your favor than anything. And again, like how I'm doing it, I'm still, at the end of the day, still taking it in school, but I do recommend everyone to have a technical degree. Okay, my career goals. Is having too many career goals too good or bad? So I say start young. If that's something, if I had more guidance when I was younger, I would definitely have really thought it out, like taken my time. There are going to be a few people when you go into college who are undecided. And I honestly think that is, I know you're young and you're like, oh, I can figure these things out later. But trust me, if you can figure it out now at your age, that is going to benefit you 10 times more. The struggles I am facing being a first generation college student, which again, I didn't have the access. I didn't have the mentors. Like I know there's so many mentors and so many programs that are available nowadays. But for me, it was a little challenging when I got into college. I wasn't undecided. I was pre-med and I changed my track because I hated chemistry. But I just didn't know what other stems of science existed because when I was younger, it was basically just science or math. I didn't know there was tech. I didn't know there was all these like science degrees, like communications that existed out there. So that was a challenge that I faced. My goals, like I mentioned, I want to work at the United Nations. And if that doesn't work out for whatever reason, because it is really hard to get a job, especially when you are from New York and from the US, they do want to give the opportunities to people globally around the world to be able to work in the UN. Will be to work in an international company in the tech field, like probably software engineer, which is doable if you don't have a science degree. Okay, so why am I getting my master's? Okay, so I'm getting my master's because, again, the job market is very competitive. Nowadays, a bachelor's degree is not enough. You need more. And that is why I decided to pursue my master's. Why am I getting it abroad and not in the United States? Mainly because of what I studied. So it is international affairs. So for me specifically, I would benefit from going abroad because that is something that is needed in my field, you know, knowing how to travel and get along with people and be diplomatic, and just having that experience is so important in my field. I cannot be preaching about international relations when I myself have not gone and to a place abroad. I did go to France when I was in my undergrad. I did a study abroad program, but I feel like I would benefit more with a master's. It's 2 years program where I could really go and pick up a third language because I already speak Spanish. Okay. Also, getting a degree, getting a master's degree abroad is way, way cheaper than in the United States. And the beauty of my program is that it is still accredited in the US, and not only that, it's accredited in Europe. And my school is basically known as like the Harvard of the Middle East. There's been many kings and queens who have graduated from my university, people who have gone to Harvard. My professors have all gone to Ivy League, majority of them. And I really think that it is a worldly education, like how people like to preach. There are a lot of schools, I know a lot of high schools that like to say that they're an international school, that they're worldly education, but it's really not at the end of the day if you are just surrounded by people that all look like you and speak the same language. Okay. So now being a woman in tech. So these three men, if you don't know who they are the most influential men in technology right now. You have Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, I believe his name is, and this guy, I forgot his name, but he is the creator of Python. And it's rare when you see a picture of a woman in tech. And I saw a very interesting YouTube video that I linked here. I can put it in the chat if anyone wants to see it. Let me just do that right now. I'll copy and paste and put in the chat later. But it is hard being a woman in tech because it is dominated by men. Even in my class right now, I haven't been in the work field, but I have heard stories that, you know, you will often be overlooked. Guys wouldn't trust you. If you, let's say you're writing a code and there's a bug in your code and you know what the issue is, there are times where a guy would just be like, oh no, it's something else, and then listen to your male coworker and believe him and spend hours trying to figure out what the male coworker is saying, and then at the end of the day they realize that what you said was actually right. They just dismiss you because you're a woman for whatever reason. And it does happen in college and it does happen in school. Like for myself, especially I've noticed when I have a male professor, and I don't think it's on purpose, I think it's just unconsciously that people do it sometimes, that when you're talking they just kind of ignore you. But then when the male in your class starts talking, it's I read somewhere that it's like psychological, like a woman's voice is just, I guess, more soft, everything about it, versus a man's voice that commands attention. And that is something that needs to be changed, and we all need to be way more assertive. The video that I linked was also about how it's hard in the United States specifically with the laws and how parental leave is given at jobs. Like when you have a child, you only get like I think 3 months after the child is born, and then you have to go back to work, which is not enough. And yeah, so it's really hard when you try to balance a family life and a work life. And I think that's something that you need to decide really early on. What are your priorities? And I feel every young girl's priority should be their education, and then having a relationship, maybe even after college, because in college, guys are trash. You know, don't even waste your time on that. Just go get your education, do what you have to do, be independent, and then when you're in your 30s, worry about family and things like that. Okay. And These are just some graphs that I pulled up online of, because I don't want to just give the spotlight to men. These are women who are doing amazing things in tech right now. So the top 20 most powerful women in tech and their role, they're all like CEOs, CFOs, which is amazing. And then here it's like a graph of women still being underrepresented in tech. So this is what I found really interesting. And then the issue is beyond discrimination. Like I said, I think it's a lot to do with policy, which needs to be changed, unfortunately. Okay. And the ways that we can change this is, again, I guess like for myself, since I am studying international relations and I do want to study policy, would be more women lawyers, more women out there creating laws that benefit us. Because unfortunately, it's not just the treatment that you get in your workforce, it is the policies that are in place that discriminate you against you in a systemic way. Okay, so this is my website, Kassie Codes. So when I started learning tech, I decided that as soon as I started learning, it kind of happened organically. I didn't picture myself starting a business when I started learning tech, especially so soon. But I am into graphic design and I do like making little animations and things like that. And I am really into art. So I started posting like some of my designs online, and one of my friends reached out to me. She was starting her business and she said, "Can you create a logo for me?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she asked me how much I would charge her. And I said, "Oh, no, you can pay whatever you want. Like, I'm not even going to charge you." She's like, "Okay." So I made her the designs. They were very well done, completely original. It wasn't copied from anywhere else. It was all me. And she, at the end of the day, paid me $120. So I was like, oh, wow, like I am actually making money from this, and I'm like, I can actually do something with this. So it started with like little graphics, making logos for people. I started reaching out to like random businesses and saying, hey, like if you want to like rebrand yourself, especially businesses that I saw their branding was kind of like ugly or not professional. So I reached out to them and they were like, actually, you know what, like I was thinking about it. I did want to change this and like have a new logo, then they will pay me. And that's how I started, especially now during quarantine. Emailing, calling, contacting, and DMing has been all good resources for me. And this is stuff that I can do from home, which is great, especially me. I'm going to go to Egypt next year in January, and it'll be a great way for me to make money remotely. And it did have to do a lot with me. Like I guess like a go-getter. Like I was reaching out to people on my own. And then afterwards, I started learning more coding, more HTML, CSS, and all these coding languages and Python and stuff. And I decided to launch my own website. And that's how basically Kassie Codes began. So I'm still currently learning, and there's still so many things, but there are people who I guess like do want to rebrand themselves, are YouTubers, a lot of people doing stuff online, and they don't necessarily have the money to pay a designer that will cost like $1,000, and that's where I come in. And I do provide quality work, but they do understand that I am still learning, and it's a win-win situation because I get to learn more and build up my portfolio, and then they get an affordable price for whatever creation that I make. And it's really it's been going really well. And for that, I feel like if anyone is interested in starting a business, I think just reaching out to people and really knowing what you want to do and understanding that it's not just gonna happen. You're gonna have to put work behind it, and it might be awkward, you might get turned down, but it's just all part of it, because when you do get that yes, then it's worth it. And that is the end of my presentation. So if anyone has questions.
Yeah, that was super helpful. I personally found that really helpful. So at this point, we're going to get started with questions, as Cassandra said. So I'm going to keep asking questions to Cassandra that you guys have submitted through the Google sign-up form. If you have any extra questions, again, please send them into Arya Nalavade, and I can also ask those. So the first question we got was, what is STEM? So how would you define STEM careers?
Okay, so for me, STEM, again, like when I was first starting out, I thought STEM had to do with like sitting in a lab, studying chemistry, studying bio, like the most like basic sciences, because that's what I was taught. But STEM nowadays is branching out to so many things, especially with technology. Like you can study information technologies and do data or web development. There's also engineering. Like I know my friend was doing aviation engineering. Like there's so many specialties that I didn't realize, and I feel like there's something for anyone, you know, because of how big it is and how many more opportunities and majors that schools are offering.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. So how would you prepare early teenagers, so like elementary schoolers and middle schoolers, to get into the STEM field, or just how would they start?
With YouTube, there's so many resources now. There's also like programs that you can do, reach out to colleges. I know when I was in high school, I did a science technology entry program at NYU because I'm from New York. And that program was amazing. I was able to take a archaeology class, which I never thought I would be able to take, but they had so many different, I guess once you were a senior in high school, they let you take an elective. And I decided to do archaeology because I thought going to the zoo and examining animals and like looking at like bones was cool. But yeah, definitely reach out to colleges. I know sometimes you're in high school will give you many programs, but there are some high school counselors, depending what kind of high school you go to, some are amazing, some absolutely suck. So really go and do your own research and even reach out to colleges, because colleges are a good resource to reach out to and say, hey, I'm in high school. What high school programs do you offer here that I can do? And a lot of these high school programs at the end, like the one that I was in NYU, I know I didn't get it. I didn't win because I didn't get the highest grades, but I know for the person in the program who had the highest grades, they got a full scholarship to NYU. So it was pretty cool. I did get a scholarship though. I did get $1,000 scholarship. They gave it to all the students who participated in the program, and it was completely free.
That's really helpful. I think that's definitely something I will personally look into, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people over here will. So what are some specific classes, like some specific math or science classes that you would recommend we take to get into the STEM field?
Statistics is big. Calculus is big. What else? In terms of science, physics is important. And then for me, I struggled a lot with chemistry, so definitely take chemistry. And it really depends on what kind of field you're trying to get into, because again, science is so broad. So if you're doing like environmental science, maybe like life science, yeah. So it depends on what kind of science and what they offer in your school. I know there has been a big debate on AP classes. Like some people are like, oh, AP is not worth it because some colleges don't even take it. Definitely do your research on that. But if you can do AP classes, like why not? Also, it's beneficial when you're in a class full of people who are kind of in the same level and care about school versus being in like the non-honors class. I don't know if your high school does that, but and then being filled with the kids that really could care less. So I say, like, try to stay in the best environment that you can, and that will really motivate you.
Yeah, definitely. So you also mentioned about the programs of colleges. So do you have any idea on how you could get like internships or like programs you said in the STEM fields?
Okay, so again, I don't remember the website, but there is a website that I can send you guys where they have like a list of those programs. And in terms of internships, I felt like it was really hard when I was younger because I felt like most internships were for like college people, like not so many high school internships like that. But I know, for instance, like where I live, I don't know if there's like botanical gardens by you or like, environmental things by you. I think those are really good internships to look into. So like I know there's a botanical gardens and like the Bronx Zoo was by me, and I didn't want to work with animals in the future, but just doing an internship like science related or like an aquarium by you, that would really look good. And I know a lot of them do take in high schoolers.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you get into STEM careers after college?
So LinkedIn is so important. Like that is where you network. And I think that is really important. In school, I feel like a lot of these careers, to be honest, you can have the most amazing resume, but if you don't know someone and you don't have an in, your chances are kind of slim. So um, it sucks that it's that way because I'm personally wasn't the most social person. I was really shy. But as I got older, I learned that just becoming friends with people, honestly, it's not just what you have in your resume, your grades and everything. It's also who you know, which is really, really important. And start looking at an early age, the companies, like start researching companies, because that's another kind of struggle that I had was I knew this is what I wanted to do. Like I want to be like, let's say I want to be a software engineer. Okay, what companies hire software engineers, right? Like I need to know what companies hire them. So there's EY, there's JP Morgan, there's all these top companies, and really start researching them early on. And that's how you would get in, and then start even contacting people, on LinkedIn, emailing people, and start forming relationships even with your professors. Your professors are like a big resource. They know all the students that graduated. A lot of them keep tabs, keep up to date with what their students are doing. And you can even say, hey professor, do you know someone that works at this company, or do you know someone that got this scholarship or whatever? Like you're like, oh yeah, I do actually. I can reach out to them for you and see if they want to help you out. So that's how.
Yeah, definitely. I have heard a lot about LinkedIn too. Not only from you, but like other speakers who have come on to this for the webinars. All of them have definitely talked about LinkedIn, and I think that's definitely a really big platform that everyone should look into. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but don't apply through LinkedIn. Like see the job posting on LinkedIn and then actually go to the company's website and apply there. Because LinkedIn is kind of like, I feel like companies use LinkedIn just to see how many people are interested in the position. But like if you take that extra step and actually go on their website and apply on their website and do their website's application, it's most of the time it's like way more elaborate. They ask for way more things. So they have way more information on you already on file, and it shows that you took the initiative and you took the extra step of like going on their actual website.
yeah, definitely. So what is your favorite part when it comes to STEM?
My favorite part is just the fact that it's always evolving, and I feel like that is like why I can only personally speak on the tech field, but especially in the tech field, things are always, there's new softwares, new things being created. Like Python, for instance, was created in, I believe, in the 80s, but nobody really talked about it. Like it wasn't even taught in my middle school. Like I know I have nephews and it's being taught in their middle school, but as of recently, I guess it got popularity and like it's a new thing now that everyone wants to learn Python, which is a coding language. And I think that's what interests me, the fact that it's always changing and that you always get to learn. And it kind of also evens out the playing field, I believe, between people who, especially in tech, who don't have a degree in tech and science and those who do, because okay, great, you went to school for this, but like there's a whole new program that exists and this person who didn't go to school actually knows it. So, you know, I feel like it does even out the playing field, which is good. Other science degrees I can't really speak on, but because I didn't do them, but for tech specifically, that's what I like about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, moving towards some business questions now. So, how do you start a business? Like, is there anything specific you need to start a business?
Yeah, so you need to do a lot of research. Make sure you're not breaking any laws. And for instance, for me, like right now, I believe when you work, you have to file income tax. And for me personally, I'm not making more than $500 on my business. Like I think it's successful for the fact that I'm doing school and I don't really have the time to have a full-time job, but just the fact that I get to make a little money on the side. And I know that if I wasn't doing school and it was a full-time thing, maybe I could be making way more money than I am now. Like I know that's definitely possible, but for me, the fact that it's small, I don't have to like file it, you know? So I think just knowing the laws and being mindful of that, because you do not want to get in any trouble with the IRS or anything like that. So definitely do your research. Also, be mindful of like not taking, there's a lot of things online that says it's free, like pictures and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, when you read the terms and agreements or you read the little words, it's like it's actually like not free, like you can't use it for certain things. And it's rare that people get sued, but just being mindful of like, okay, I googled this picture and I really like this picture of this duck and I want to add it to my website, and but it's not your picture, you know, like you need to do the research, which I think is really important for people to keep in mind, like copyright and all that stuff. And what else? And just kind of forming a network, like kind of deciding who your audience is, like who you're trying to sell to and market to them. So I feel like, let's say you want to start, there was a girl who came to my college. She was, I believe she was like 13. She was really young and she was a millionaire. Like she had started this lip gloss business at like 12. I don't even know how, but she started her own homemade lip gloss, and like apparently like Bed Bath and Beyond like liked her lip gloss and like picked it up. I don't know what steps she did because she didn't really go into that depth. But you know, she was like, yeah, I was just marketing to my like friends in school because we all like lip gloss, and then their mom started buying from me. So just knowing like where to market is really important. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then also having a little bit money saved up. You know, I think that's important when you first start. Also, like, let's say you make your first sale. Great, you made your first sale, you know, but that money should be going back into your business in the beginning. Like I feel like in the beginning, everything should be going back into your business to make it better, to make it bigger. And then afterwards, once you kind of had it all set up, like you have the website, you have your logo, you have everything set up, then the money that you start making can start going to yourself. But I think it's really important to keep in mind when you start, it's best the money that you start making just to be recycled back into your business versus you getting all excited and being like, oh my God, I got this. I'm going to go buy myself this t-shirt at Forever 21. You know, it's not it's not worth it, because you could be making way more money than that if you just invested more into your business.
Yeah, definitely. I think personally that it's never too young to start a business.
Yeah.
You just need to prioritize your time between your school and your social life and your business. Because I was trying to start businesses, and yeah, it's hard to balance those. So do keep that in mind. And I also like that you mentioned the royalty-free thing, because even when you're starting a YouTube channel like we have, so if any of the members here or whoever joined is trying to start a YouTube channel or a business, keep in mind of those royalty guidelines, because you're definitely not allowed to use any song or any picture you want.
Yeah, there's a lot of free music on YouTube too that you can just download. There's like whole playlists that says like free music playlists, and like and some of the songs aren't that bad. You just have to do a little bit more research. It's not just, unfortunately, you can't pick like, I don't know what you guys listen to, but like, let's say Selena Gomez music, because that's like copyrighted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really helpful. So how long did it take you, or how long do you think it takes to get a business up and running?
For me, I want to say it took like 3 months officially, so that I can have everything kind of set, you know. Also, like, I didn't want to start like promoting my website or anything until like, I didn't really want to start promoting anything until I had like things, like a good amount of things to promote, you know. Like, I wanted to have my Instagram kind of running, my website, my Facebook, and then I started promoting everything all at once and saying, hey, look, this is what I did. Just so that you don't annoy people. I feel like every other week posting that you have like this new thing, kind of read 3 months.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet's being a little bit glitchy. So,
okay.
Is it better to have a business partner or to get up a business solo?
I run my thing by myself. I don't really think a business partner is necessary so much, because then it'll be like maybe splitting, and I feel like there's so much, maybe in the future a business partner will be cool, but like, I think starting off, just doing it all on your own. Also, it really depends. Like, it might be a good idea, it might not. For instance, like, this wasn't a business, but in college we had a radio show, and I wanted to do my own radio show, and I was super excited about it. I already had like the whole vision of what I was going to talk about on a radio show. I just wanted to have a radio show partner, because I didn't want to do it by myself. I wanted to be like a girl talk like radio show. So I put out an ad. I got a girl that was interested. She seems super cool radio show, and there was I wanted to talk about certain topics. She wanted to talk about other topics, and we just could not agree. And at the end of the day, like, it didn't work out. And then it was just awkward, because I wanted to keep doing the radio show, but I'm like, okay, now it's just going to be me. Like, I don't know. So I think starting off by yourself is better. And then kind of getting someone on your team and letting them know, hey, this is my brand. This is all me. You can join if this is something that you kind of agree with already, versus having 2 people or more than 2 people work together trying to create something. But if you guys are all in the same picture, then why, like, if you guys are all in the same like thing, then why not? But just establish that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Even as we saw in, like, when we were starting up our business or our organization, like, it's hard to come to like agreement sometimes, but it's really helpful to have like someone to talk to or come up with ideas with if you all are like on the same page. Okay, so the next question we have is, how did you sustain a successful business?
I think just doing the work of like calling, like reaching out to people. because that's the big thing, like just, I guess, building up a client base. And also, for me, when I started off like, again, like for instance, with the first girl I had who asked me to make a logo for her, I said, oh, pay me what you want, you know, like whatever, like pay me what you want. I think starting off with like low prices and even sometimes doing things for free, even if it sucks, like just doing things for free. And it starts giving you like building a client base. So like now that girl was so pleased with what I did for her, she can go and tell her friends, you know, and then I could charge more than what I charged her. So right now, like for my websites, I started off with even reaching out to family. You know, my cousin, for example, is a therapist, and she had a really ugly website, and I went on it. I'm like, girl, I could like change this. Like this could be way cuter. She's like, okay, and because she's family, I didn't charge her that much, but she told me, okay, we agreed on like 150. Right now, I have another client that's a lawyer, and she has her own business too, and she asked me, oh, how much are you going to charge? And I said, oh, I would charge you $250, right, for a website. She's like, oh, that's nothing. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I'm starting up and I'm like building my portfolio, but you see, little by little. And she's like, oh, okay. And like we've been working together, and she has so many clients, so many people. She's a lawyer, you know, big network. And she's like, I'm definitely going to recommend you to people. And like, after you're done with my project, you can definitely start boosting your price up because your stuff is quality. Like you can start charging people like $300 to $500 for a website. And I think that's how you start running it successfully. Because I had a friend who was a photographer, amazing photographer. He wanted to charge an arm and a leg for photography when he didn't even have a good portfolio. And it wasn't successful until he started lowering his prices, and that's when it started building up. But yeah, I think just having a humble mindset and not thinking so much of yourself is important.
Yeah, definitely. I think customer satisfaction is like a big thing, and a customer base too. I think that's definitely something you need to build up. So a question from our participants is, how do you network?
So right now it has a lot to do with LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn a lot. I think for me it's good because a lot of the people that are in my network are recent graduate students, are people who are trying to start their business, especially now during quarantine. You see so many people trying to start businesses. And the beauty of my business is to help people who are trying to start businesses. So I'm not even like really like selling anything, like physically. So I think that's like what's so great about me, because like my basically my clientele is so big, is so broad. Like you can be opening a pet shop, or you could be opening your eyelash company, like you're doing lashes now, or you're doing hair and you want a website. So I think for me it was that, like just DMing people and not getting butthurt if I was left on red or whatever, just being like, okay, cool. Or you know, even if they said no, maybe they'll keep me in mind for like later on in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
So just not being shy.
Yeah, definitely. So we only have a few minutes left and a few questions. So does living internationally affect your business? And are there like any laws that are international that affect your business?
So I know in Egypt, I'm technically not supposed to work because I will be having a student visa, but I don't know how anyone will find out that I'm doing, you know, my job. Like, I don't know how they would find out, you know, like if someone sends me money, because it's not like a big business. Most of the people who send me like payments is through Venmo. You know, I could just say, oh, that's a family member. I did her a favor, whatever. But yeah, there are laws. So I'm pretty sure if my business is like a big, you know, like, and was like legally registered and everything, like trademarked and everything, then that'll be a whole different story. But since my business is work.
All right, so the next question is, how much money should you invest in a business before expecting something back?
It depends on what kind of business you want to start. So I say spend enough. Okay, I say spend enough that it will last. Like, let's say you want to sell something, like a physical thing, like earrings or like jewelry. I say spend enough for like a month, you know, to see if it's successful. Like, don't go out and buy like 1,000 business cards for like $100, however much it costs. Like, go and buy out, like maybe buy 100 business cards, or like maybe even 500 business cards. Like, start off small. And that's why I said like it's important to like the first money that you start making for it to go back into it.
Yeah, definitely. So do you plan on turning your business into a full-time thing when you graduate?
Yeah, hopefully I do. Like, hopefully not, actually, because I do want to work in the UN. But like right now, like if I wasn't going to school, then I would definitely turn it into a full-time thing. Like, I do definitely plan to keep doing this for like even as passive income. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, but passive income is kind of like income that you can just sit and like do nothing and just earn money from it. Like, I sell stickers on Redbubble, you know, like that's kind of passive income. But if worse comes to worse, then yeah, it will definitely be something I'll turn into full time.
Yeah, I agree. We said we are going to start selling on Redbubble as well, and I really encourage it. Like any teenagers who are good at art or graphic design, if you have a passion for art, you should definitely like look into those things because it's a super easy way to earn some passive income and stuff like that. So another question from our participants: how do you plan to get into the UN in the future?
So to get into the UN, you have to take a foreign service exam. And some people study, some people don't. It's kind of like an exam. I could have taken it now, even without my master's, but I decided to go get my master's to be better prepared for it. And you take the foreign service exam. I feel like it's offered a couple times in the year. And then it's questions basically on American history, on politics, on what's going on in the world today. You need to read like the New York Times a lot, like be really, really well aware of like the news and everything that's going on. And then there's like an in-person interview as well. That's how you start like your process of getting into the UN. It's like a series of steps.
Yeah,
But that's to be a diplomat. I think there's other jobs, like I know there's a lot of STEM jobs in the UN. Like they hire a lot of like engineers and things like that. And that's a whole other process.
Yeah, that sounds really helpful. So another question is, did you advertise outside of LinkedIn?
For my business, yeah, I did it on Instagram. I did it on Facebook groups as well. A lot of Facebook groups, also local businesses, so like near my house. If I saw like there's a lot of like little like bakeries near my house that don't even have like an online presence, like they're just on Google, but they don't even have like a nothing like online. And I'm like, I go in and I'm like, well, if you want to build your clientele, you know. So
Yeah,
that's where.
So in your experience, what are the benefits of starting a business besides like the money?
The benefits definitely is the fact that you get to be your own boss. Like, you don't have to deal with anyone, and you get to be as creative as you want because it's like your vision at the end of the day. It's like, I don't know. like I see my business kind of like an art project. Even if it wasn't like graphic design, let's say I was selling like keychains, you know, it's still like marketing is still like an art project. And I think just building on those skills, and just even if the business is not something you want to do full time, just being able to put that in your resume and saying, oh, I started this little project for like this amount of time, and it looks like you have those leadership skills.
Yeah. All right. So the last very broad and general question we got from the participant is, how do you find your dream career?
How do I find it? I took a lot of online exams, so a lot of online quizzes, like personality tests and things like that that you can take. And basically that's what I did. Because after pre-med, I was kind of like, okay, clearly I hate chemistry. I don't want to do this. And it sucks at that time that I didn't realize all the other science fields that there existed. But definitely take advantage of those online exams and those personality tests and be like, okay, maybe I am good at this. This is what I should go to.
Yeah, so we just got in another question from our participants. So how long did it take for you to get your website up and running, and how did you build it? Like HTML or a third-party source, and how much did it cost?
Okay, so I built my website on Wix. So from when I started learning how to code, I was kind of like under, I don't know, I thought like Wix was bad for some reason, because I feel like Wix is so easy to make a website on. It kind of like does everything for you. There's no coding required. So I was like kind of disappointed with myself, because I'm like, oh my god, I only know how to do Wix. This is before I taught myself HTML and all those other things. But at the end of the day, I realized that it doesn't even matter. Like HTML, like learning HTML and all these coding stuff could benefit you on the Wix platform or WordPress or whatever platform that you use, because it's already it can, because it gives you the option of adding those things into it. It's not necessary though. But learning all that stuff like HTML and all these coding languages, that's more for like big businesses like Facebook, Google. If you're doing, you know, companies already constantly have web developers, you know. But if it's just like a small little business and you're making a website for someone else, it's way better for you to do it on a platform like Wix and WordPress, because they themselves can go and edit it, and they don't have to like keep paying you or rehire you, or like let's say you're not even available and they're stuck. Now they can't even change a picture on their website because they don't know how to code, you know. So I think Wix, even for myself, my website is Wix. Even though I know how to make a website from scratch, it's just, why do the extra work if you don't have to? The coding stuff is kind of like if I want to get the real career job, like in Google and Facebook and things like that. But right now, like, why give yourself extra work? So my website is Wix, and I pay, I believe, $60 a year, and it's because of the student discount that I got. And it's if you go to student, it's like Student Beans. And this is not just for Wix. You can go on Student Beans and they give you discounts for like everything, like whatever store. I don't even know what store is on there, but I know at one point I think they had like discounts for Forever 21 if you shop there, like 50% off. And you just have to prove that you're a student with your student email. So I don't know if you guys have like a .edu email. That's what they check for. And that's how I started my website. And it took me, I want to say, like a week to make it.
Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. That sounded really helpful. Hopefully that's helpful and answered the question of the participant.
You could also do it. Oh, and sorry, you can also do it for free. It's just there's going to be an ad, which is annoying.
So,
but I think Wix has like the smallest ad compared to other platforms that I've seen. I think Wix ads are like way smaller than everyone else's ads.
Yeah, we personally also use Weebly. I know there's other stuff like GoDaddy, and there are a bunch of platforms you can use. You just have to like compare the costs, pros and cons of the ads. all that
Also, if
stuff.
you build a website from scratch, it still comes out to being almost the same price as like Wix websites, just because you still have to purchase the domain, you still have to purchase like hosting and things like that. And at the end of the day, it still comes out to the same price. So it's like, why am I going to build a whole website from scratch? I mean, granted, you do have to start building those projects, but I don't know. I'll rather spend my time doing other projects, like way more complex projects than like my little advertisement website.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really helpful. Okay, so I think we can wrap up now. So thank you everyone for coming to our webinar. If your questions were not answered in this webinar, you can always email Cassandra, and you can visit our Instagram, DM her. We just put her information in the chat, so you guys can do that. And we are also going to put a Google form and a webinar mailing list form in the chat right now. So this is just to get feedback for this webinar and our other webinars. And the mailing list form is if you want to get updates for our next webinars, which are also going to be really helpful. We have authors, lawyers, and a lot of other people coming in. So I would definitely recommend signing up for that. And lastly, check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram. We have all our webinars, which are really helpful, on our Instagram, IGTV, and our YouTube channel. And we really appreciate all the support we get, because this is how we run our business. So yeah, thank you all for coming. And
thank you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to send them in to us or Cassandra. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.